What's up, YouTube? Don here, aka Eastern CT Vapor. Now today we are here with another review. Today's review is on an RTA by a company called Sense. And this RTA is the Herakles RTA. A little quick view of it so you know what we're looking at here. Oh, about this RTA. It is a 25 millimeter diameter RTA. We're going to get a little more into that in the dive down. I'm going to measure every last living inch of this thing. It holds 6 mLs of juice. Very nice juice capacity. I'm impressed with it. Some people say it's a juice guzzler. I'm happy with it. This thing could last me almost a day as long as I'm vaping moderately and not going crazy. Construction of it, it's made of stainless steel. Obviously you see it's stainless steel. They do also make it in black. The glass is Pyrex, so it's not just your normal glass. It's Pyrex, has a little more sturdy. Has the well-known 2-post velocity style deck like everything else, and it has a very spacious chamber. You'll see the build I have in here. I have Clapton builds in here. You could probably even fit fused Claptons. It's a very spacious chamber. You got tons of room. It's considered to have a deck milled negative post. And it's kind of weird because both the posts, when you look at them up and down, they're like floating. You're going to see it in the dive down. They connect in the middle. They go down and come to the center and then connect. And there's an insulator to separate, but I guess the negative is deck milled. It's built into the deck, but yet floating in a sense. And then the positive screws into the top of that. So it's got tons of airflow. You're going to see that as well in the dive down. It's got airflow holes going straight to your wick and coils. And then it's got airflow holes under the posts. That's why those posts, why I'm saying they kind of are floating. Because there's airflow holes underneath them. All the insulators that you're going to find in this thing are made of PEEK. Also, the post holes, 2.5 millimeters, so you can fit some pretty decent sized wire. Also, it's the velocity style, so you're not sharing a hole with 2 sets of wires. Each hole, 2.5 millimeters for its own wire, no sharing. Unless you're going to try to do a quad build, then it's different. But just doing your normal dual coil, 2.5 millimeter holes, specified for 1 wire, so you can put a pretty decent sized build in this. It's designed to do single or dual configuration. It has adjustable airflow at the base, and it also has juice flow control. It is top filled just like the Herakles Plus. The drip tip is Delrin wide bore. It doesn't pop on like your normal 510. It unscrews, but it does come with a 510 drip tip adapter. And that's just about it for specs. So why don't we head down to the table. I'm going to show you this thing up close. Like I said, I'm going to measure every last inch of it, and I'm going to show you this thing inside and out so you can see the space that it has, the airflow that it has. My God, the airflow that it has. Before I ruin the excitement of it, let's get down to the table so you guys can see this up close. I'm going to open our little flap here. Inside, we have this little tube with our extra Pyrex glass tank. Slides right off. And it comes with this little tube of extras. If you pop off one end, it comes with this little baggie of extras. You can see we have some extra grub screws here at the bottom in the corner here. An extra 510 drip tip adapter so you can use your own. We also get an extra 510 pin. Looks to be copper. And we also get an extra blue screwdriver. Also, what comes in it is this little Allen key, and it's almost like a bronze color. It's really cool. So this one stands out out of all the Allen keys I have. But this also comes in the package. I've taken it out so I could build on it already. And also at the other end, pop this off, we have all of our extra O-rings. A baggie full of tons of extra O-rings. Once our packaging is put away, we have our Herakles RTA. Quick little overview of the tank. We have the Sense logo engraved, if you can hear. copper 510 pin. Without the glare, it says Cigarette. Designed and manufactured by Cigarette. Right. Before I go breaking this apart, I want to do some measurements for you guys. Not including the drip tip, the tank is 51.7 millimeters, 51.8 rounded. Including the drip tip, we get 63 millimeters long. Our diameter is 24.36. They do call it a 25 millimeter, but as you see right here with your own eyes, it's 24.30 millimeters. Going throughout this, I will do some more measurements for you. Starting from the top, we have our drip tip. It is not a normal 510 pop-in drip tip. Well, here it is threaded and it unscrews like so. Measuring the drip tip, if we don't include the threads on it, it is 12.55 millimeters. If we do include the threads, it is 15.1 millimeters. It's 11.9 millimeters in diameter, the bore. And that tapers down to 9.84 millimeters at the bottom. Again, that unscrews from there. We'll take this tank apart. Our next piece, our fill port cover. We take that off, and this exposes our fill ports. Nice two big Cyclops style slots. Now our top cap. This is 24.4 millimeters, and the bore of it is 12.4 millimeters, 12.45 millimeters. Next, we can go to our deck section. We take this out. You can see we have the build that I've made on here. This is a couple of Clapton coils, a little bit used, not too bad. We have our deck post holes. These post holes are 2.5 millimeters. It's almost like a floating deck, because as you see here, our airflow, we have two airflow under the coils, and then we have two airflow holes under the posts. Now, some say they feel that kind of mutes the flavor. You're going to see when we get back up to phase time, this thing is like almost taking a wide open breath. But you can see they're not straight down to the deck. If you unscrew that, you can take both posts off. We also have this ring here. Holds our cottons down for wicking. You can see it without it. We have our wick channels. Very nice size wick channels. And I'm going to show you how to wick it here in a little bit. We also have our airflow control. It does have a stop, so when you close it, it stops there. You open it, it stops there. It has 1, 2, 3, and 4 airflow slots. And whatever you do to one, say it's closed off halfway, all the rest match it. Now to do some measurements here. Our posts are 13.7 millimeters across, outside to outside. inside to inside is 5.6 millimeters. Our build deck diameter, you can see what I'm measuring here. Just what the build deck is. Well, it's not really a build deck. You know what I mean, where the coils sit over, where the airflow channels are. 16.4 millimeters. Again, you can see what it is that I'm measuring there. I would consider that to be the build deck. And the bottom, where our airflow is, 23.98, 24 millimeters. And next we have our tank section. Just the tank section alone. Let's give this a measurement. This is 38.6 millimeters long. And the diameter of just the glass, 24.4 millimeters. Now for cleaning purposes, or if you need to replace the glass, if you hold the top and the bottom, this does unscrew, like so. We have our top cap, the bottom of our top cap where our juice flow ports are, our fill ports are, I keep getting these confused. Where our fill ports are. This ring measures 24.3 millimeters. The bore for where our chimney goes is 8 millimeters. And I would measure the fill ports, but they're that oblong, oval, rounded, so it would be an inaccurate measurement. Next we have our glass. It is Pyrex glass. Glass measures 30.7 millimeters. And again, 24.3 millimeters in diameter. Then we have our bottom chimney section. Has RTA inscribed on it. It's laser etched. Certifications. Our top of our chimney section here measures out to be 7.9 millimeters. On the outside, 9.47 millimeters. And at the bottom here, it gets bigger to 18.1 millimeters. And where our build deck goes on the inside, 16.8 millimeters. As you can see, we have O-ring inside here. This is where our juice flow is. Our deck will close that off, but this is where our wicking would be behind it. To put this all back together, you just put the glass on here. Take the top where our fill ports are, and got it right this time. That screws back together. Our fill port cover, top cap, whatever you want to call it, that screws on. And then our drip tip. You can put this one on and screw it on, or you can use the 510 drip tip adapter that comes in the bag of goodies. And there's our tank, and obviously you would just screw the deck on like so. I want to keep this out though, because next portion of this, I'm going to show you guys how I wick this build. Okay guys, so I've put the deck section, whatever you'd like to call this bottom section, put it on my Cooper Plus. And the first thing I always like to do before I start wicking is give it a little dry fire or pulse test and make sure that both coils are firing evenly like they are. Alright, I'm going to let these cool and then we will get wicking. Alright, so now that they've cooled, the first thing I like to do is get this little wicking ring off, whatever you'd like to call it. I like to put that on afterwards instead of fighting the wicks in there. So you can see that that's off. Next, just like any other coil, I'm sure we're all familiar with this. You just get our wicks through here. Okay, and now that our cotton is in there, the way I like to trim it is just to kind of fold it down here, and I like to put my scissors right at the bottom edge of that. Put that in there, just trim that off. And that's not going to be a final measurement or final cut. I will be cutting that more after I get that beauty ring back on, or wicking ring, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so for the next part, if you've seen my video for the Griffin RTA, link will be over here in the corner. If you want to click that link, you can see it. But what I like to do is get the coils primed now. Almost works like an adhesive. It's easier to get them to stay where we need to put them. So I'm going to shut up. We're going to speed this up because nobody's going to want to sit here for this whole process. Alright, you don't want to go too crazy because the more you juice it, the messier it's going to be for you. So now at this point, I like to put these where they're going to go in the juice channel, or the wicking channel. Get them down in their general position. Once they're there, now we can slide this ring back over. And again, while this ring is getting on here, we can move these into place. Sorry about the focus, guys. And once the ring's down there, slowly get it to screw on. And of course, making sure not to cross thread this. That would really suck. Okay, so now once you get that down there nice and tight, you can see that the wicks are nicely into those holes. Those look nice. Sometimes you'll get one like this one though, and that's where I like to take the scissors again and trim it back. Yeah, most of these were pretty good. I had this one. And that's not bad at all. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I like to wick it. You can see again, all my wicks are in there very nicely. And to finish this off, we can take our tank section. Screw this on here. Make sure it's nice and tight. And I like to just screw until you can see the juice flow ports open and close. See, they're open. And now they're closed. We want to keep that closed. To finish this off, take our top cap off. The juice I'm using is this Rolling Thunder by Lightning Vapes, their Max VG line. Very good juice. I highly recommend it to anybody that's on a budget. You can get a 30 ml bottle for about $8. And the 120 ml bottle is about $24, but there's coupon codes that you can get off the site for 15 to 17% off. This tank does hold 6 milliliters of juice, so it's a fairly good portion of juice that this holds. I'm pretty impressed with it. It lasts quite a while. A lot of people say it's a juice guzzler, but I'm very satisfied with how this tank vapes. Alright, and once the tank's full, we throw our top cap back on here. Nice and secured. And then open up the juice flow. And that is it, guys. That's how I wick this RTA, the Herakles RTA. So now that we've gone over the packaging, we've seen this piece for piece. I've measured every little last inch of this, or millimeters, since I measured it in millimeters. Showing you how it gets taken apart so you can clean it or change your glass, whatever it is that you need to do with it. Showing you how it gets put back together. I've shown you my wicking technique, how I like to wick this. And also filled the tank and got it ready. So now we can go back up to FaceTime and I can show you guys how it is that this tank vapes. Alright guys, welcome back to FaceTime. You've been at the table, you've seen this Herakles RTA up close, you've seen it in pieces, you've seen the measurements of it. You know this thing pretty well now after seeing all that. The one thing we don't know yet though is how does it vape? So let's have a vape real quick and see the performance of this RTA. The way I would describe this is hashtag clouds for days. This thing chucks clouds. It has airflow galore, which then there gives it tons and tons of clouds. So, I'm going to save all that for my final thoughts. First off, some pros and some cons. Okay, let's start with some pros. I like the fact that the drip tip, it screws on there. So it doesn't, pop off or something. If it's in your pocket or something, it's not just going to pop off. You got to unscrew it. So that's a nice big pro. Has the top fill system, which a lot of things nowadays are coming out with top fill. You see most of your RTAs these days with top fill. So, kind of getting to be standard, but nonetheless, pro. It has the juice flow control, so when you're filling it, you can close it off. You don't have to worry about any leaking. The build section, the build deck, it's got tons of room, so you can fit Claptons, fused Claptons. You can fit some fancy builds in there. Also, while I'm talking about that, the post holes, 2.5 millimeters, nice and big. So if you're just doing your normal dual coil build, you can put some serious sized wire in there. I also like the fact that the airflow control here at the bottom, it has a stop. It doesn't just go and go and go. I like things to have a stop. But from top to bottom, that's about going to do it for the pros. Let's talk about some cons. Not a whole lot, but they're kind of some big ones. I'm going to start off the airflow. It's just too much. I think this thing works perfect if you kind of cut the airflow control at the bottom down to about halfway closed. It gives it the perfect amount of restrictiveness. They went a little overboard with this quad airflow in the airflow under the posts. And that is going to bring me to my next con. It kind of mutes out the flavor. There's just so much air, you don't get the flavor to it. I think if they would have kind of just done a dual airflow and cut off the quad airflow, the holes under the posts, I think it would have given it a much better flavor profile versus clouds. So I mean, in the big picture, it's a cloud machine. It's definitely not a flavor machine. I stated as a pro, I like the airflow, had a stop to it. I wish the juice flow control did. The Herakles Plus had it. I don't know why they didn't do it with the RTA. It spins and spins and spins. It's got good restrictiveness, don't get me wrong. It's not going to just spin on its own. You got to put some force behind it. But I really wish it had a stop. Aside from that, though, that's going to wrap it up for the cons. Let me get another vape real quick. I really like vaping this thing. Alright, so this brings me to my next portion, my final thoughts. Now, my overall final thoughts for this thing. I like this. Usually, I rotate through all my tanks. I'll use a tank, fill it. Once it's empty, I move on to the next one. Since I've gotten this, I go through a tank and then go through. I usually go through 2 or 3 tanks and then rotate because I enjoy it so much. Again, I wish the airflow was a little more constricted. It's nice. It's almost like taking a wide open breath, but you can also turn it down so it's not a deal breaker. It's got, like I said, in pros and cons, tons of airflow. And again, I mean, I just enjoy it. It's fantastic. I wish the flavor could have been a little better. But while I'm recording this, I just seen, as of yesterday, Mr. Mark Fagan, Vape and Fagan, had a video posted for the Herakles RTA version 2. You know, they kind of went after this airflow situation and kind of fixed it. From what I hear, you can swap build decks. We'll see when that time comes. I don't believe it's available yet, but it is being marketed. So, I'm going to have to give Sense a plus for that. A big little pro that they, you know, they seen the problem and they're fixing it. So, I definitely give them credit for that. This brings me to the big question. If for some reason this was stolen from me, if I left it somewhere, it got broken, whatever the case may be, it leaves my life sometime today. Am I going to reorder this tomorrow? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I might wait to order it, so that's why I should re-specify that. I might not get it again tomorrow. I might wait for that version 2 to come out. Because, again, the flavor is really, really muted. It's such a wide open airflow. I mean, without taking a hit. And that's my full-on capacity. Starting from empty to full. It is so much airflow. So yeah, I would definitely go for the version 2 over buying this one again. If the version 2 wasn't coming out, I would still buy it again anyway. I've enjoyed this more than the Griffin. And I know the Griffin was a big, you know, hype. Everybody was all about the Griffin. I haven't tried the Griffin 25, so I can't compare it to that. But I hear the 25s are killing the market. This is my first 25mm RTA, and I've more than enjoyed it. So I've enjoyed it more than the Griffin 22. But again, being that it's a 25, that might be the issue. If I had the Griffin, I might get the Griffin 25 and try that out. So I might recant on that statement. But for now, I'm enjoying the living hell out of this. So that's going to lead me to the next part. Price point. Usually this is up in the $30 range, $35 range. I did some Google searching though for you guys, and the link will be in the description for this. But I have found this RTA for you guys, $26.95 steal for what it's worth. It's an incredible price. I even paid more than that because I hadn't shopped around. Once I'm doing the review, I looked. I had that instant gratification, and what I thought was a good deal, I paid, which was like $36. An extra $10 off, basically $26.95 at Element Vape, elementvape.com. The link will be in the description down below, but it's steal. And in my opinion, I would buy it for sure. So again, $26.95, elementvape.com. The link will be in the description below. And that just about wraps it up for me, guys. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope that it gave you the info you were looking for. Please be sure down below to hit that like or even the dislike button, depending on what you thought. Also, drop a few lines in that comment section. Tell me what you think. Also, guys, one thing I haven't been mentioning that I need to start mentioning, head on over to myvaporium.net. Excellent site. We just did but the site just did its big 1-year anniversary. And man, everybody on that site is just kind-hearted, giving people. They did the biggest giveaway I have ever seen, 7 days in a row, and every day they gave away copious amounts of vape gear. And it continues. You'll find all the reviewers there. Mike Vapes you'll find there, in the G spot especially. you gotta ask for, you gotta request for the, you gotta be invited basically, but you can just request an invite, and 10 out of 10 times they're gonna approve you. But it's a drama-free site, so don't bring the bullshit, and it's just a great site. So guys, really definitely check it out for sure. Again, myvaporium.net. I will put a link in the description. And as I was saying, head on over to the G Spot. It's where you can just hang out with everybody. It's basically like a live show. If you guys ever see, you know, Mike Vape's live show or Vape and Fagan's live show, the G Spot is that live show where you can be a part of it and actually talk to them. I have talked with all these reviewers personally because of my Vaporium and the G Spot. So be sure to check that out, guys. Also, don't forget to check out CASAD.org, NotBlowingSmoke.org, and the VapingMilitia.org. Be sure to check out all their calls to action, and don't forget to sign up to fight for your vaping rights. And then also after that, swing on over to social media, where you will find me at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all three of those, .com/Eastern CT Vapor. And again, that's wrapping it up for this review, guys. Thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. And for Eastern CT Vapor, this is the Herakles RTA. And this is Don, guys. And remember to always, always vape on.